honestly, like nothing was going through my head. I wasn't thinking about the landing. I wasn't thinking about the flip. As soon as my feet were stable, I went and I jumped.
Slater is insane!
I think this match has been so exciting, not only for the fans, but for me, because I've never seen someone that's so similar to me in wrestling. For me to have that relationship with them, not only as a fan of them, you know what I mean, someone that grew up loving them, but now as like a friend, and as Matt says, like an honorary Hardy and the kind of fourth or fifth son for Matt and Jeff's adopted son. It's very cool, the relationship I get to have with Matt and Jeff, and I'm super, super proud of them.
Rewind, recap, relive. Whoa! That's what the world is watching.
My guest today is the youngest in charge on the road to Bound for Glory. He's the youngest TNA X Division champ of all time, and this weekend he looks to defend that title and secure a big win, repping Team TNA against Javon Evans. Please welcome Leon Slater.
Yo, how's it going, Jonah?
Good. It's so awesome to have you here. I mean, there's so much happening in TNA, but we're fresh off of Showdown, which was last night.
Yeah.
Team TNA secured a big win over Team NXT in the main event. Can you take us into the minds of Team TNA right before you guys walked out into the crowd?
So I think for us as Team TNA, like it was a very, very real scenario for us. You know, it was a very, very real setting because on one hand, it's obviously everybody knows it's a TV show and it's something that we're collaborating with on the NXT side, but on the real side of it, it's a chance for our locker room to prove that we're not just this kind of fourth brand as some people are putting it, or any less than, you know what I mean? It was a really good opportunity for us to get in there and show that we are as good, if not better, than the crew that NXT have right now, you know? And I think the result that came out of Showdown spoke for itself, right?
Yeah.
Ricky Sainz did an amazing job in that final 5 minutes. He got me out of there, he got Frankie out of there, but at the end of the day, TNA came out on top, man.
Absolutely. No, Moose and Santana were too much, and it was so cool to see just Team TNA stand in unity to end that show because this has been a tumultuous back and forth between NXT and TNA for a while now. So it was cool to see TNA end that on a strong note. We also might have seen a preview of what's to come Sunday because you eliminated Javon Evans, who you go on to face at Bound for Glory. Take us into your mind, kind of getting that pin on him. Did that add a little bit of confidence heading into this Sunday?
1000%. I think a lot of the time, when you see someone on WWE television, whether that's NXT or like in Javon's case on SmackDown recently, you kind of put them on this mental pedestal, even if you don't do it intentionally, right?
Yeah.
And it almost feels like unachievable sometimes, you know what I mean? And throughout my history in TNA and just in my wrestling career in general, I've always tried to carry myself with a confidence, and I'm very assured of myself and my abilities. You know what I mean? And I was already confident heading into Bound for Glory that not only obviously is me and Javon gonna steal the show, but that I would walk out still the X Division champion. And what happened yesterday on Tuesday kind of affirmed that to me. You know what I mean? He's not invincible. He breathes the same air as me. He bleeds the same blood as me. You know what I mean? He's human just like I am, and I pinned him. So that absolutely gave me a huge confidence boost going into Bound for Glory.
And you mentioned that mental pedestal too. Yeah, we've seen some of the work Javon is doing, and this match between you and him has been touted as the dream match for a while now. You're both 21 years old, which is crazy to think about for all that you've both already done, in your careers now.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on the work that we've seen Javon do so far in his career?
I think he's amazing, man. And again, like I think this match has been so exciting, not only for the fans, but for me, because I've never seen someone that's so similar to me in wrestling. You know what I mean? My
Yeah.
biggest thing has always been that I've tried to be unique in the way that I move, in the way that I look, talk, wrestle, you know? And in my opinion, there's nobody really that has kind of matched that energy as much as Javon has so far. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm very much looking forward to Sunday for the competition, and I'm looking forward to see what it would be like to almost wrestle myself a little bit. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm going to be fighting against the mirror on Sunday.
It's actually amazing to see like both of you paralleled in NXT and TNA and rising on your careers because I feel like there are so many similarities there. I don't know when Javon started training, but how do you start training for wrestling at 9 years old?
So it's a funny story. I was very, very lucky to find a place that would take me that young. So I remember obviously I grew up loving wrestling like we all do, right?
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I wanted to really pursue it, and I was getting serious about it, even though I don't know how serious you can be at 9 years old, you know. But I started looking up wrestling schools back in the UK, and a lot of them, like there was to be fair, there was actually quite a few schools in my area within like an hour or so, but a lot of them were 14 at the age of 14 and over, 16 and over, 18 and over, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I found this school called UKW, which was based in Wakefield at the time, which is 20, 30 minutes from Bradford, where I'm from, that actually had like a juniors class that took people younger than 14, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I was able to get into that. And obviously, once you found the school, the final hurdle is getting your mum or dad's permission, you know what I mean? And I've been very, very lucky that my mum has been the MVP of my journey. I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't be who I am without her. You know what I mean? So as soon as I brought it up to it, it wasn't even really a battle, to be honest. I had a blessing straight away, and ever since then we've been rocking, man.
I heard you say how much she's, been supportive throughout your career, which is awesome to hear. Is she going to be there this Sunday at Bound for Glory?
No, she's not, but she was there at Slammiversary. I had my girlfriend, my sister, and my mom all at Slammiversary to see me win the big one. So
That's
that
awesome.
was a very, very special moment for me because like, obviously she's seen me training and like on indies in the UK and stuff, but nothing close to the scale of Slammiversary. You know what I mean? And then obviously when
Yeah.
AJ came out afterwards, it was a very, very cool moment for us all.
An awesome moment that I definitely want to get into, but I'd love to stick with Showdown. Were you there to congratulate the Hardys after their historic win of the NXT tag titles last night?
Of course I was. Of course. That's my family, man.
Yeah.
That's pops, that's uncle. Come on. Yeah, man, Matt and Jeff again, like they've been the goats for like 10 years now, you know what I mean? And they just keep
Yeah.
adding to that legacy week after week, month after month, year after year, and the legacy is only getting stronger, you know what I mean? So for me to have that relationship with them, not only as a fan of them, you know what I mean, someone that grew up loving them, but now as like a friend and as Matt says, like an honorary Hardy and the kind of fourth
Oh,
or fifth
cool.
son for Matt and Jeff's adopted son, you know what I mean. It's very cool the relationship I get to have with Matt and Jeff, and I'm super super proud of them for bringing the NXT titles to TNA because that's the first ones we managed to grab.
Yeah, no, definitely. They're swaying the whole battle here. The Hardys are starting it. So yeah, it is well documented how they've mentored you. What would you say if you had to pick one piece that sticks with you advice wise that you've gotten from Matt and Jeff? Is there anything that rises above the rest?
I think for me, the biggest thing that I've learned, and it's not even necessarily something that they've told me, but just something that I've learned from watching them and being around them and seeing how they operate is it's been their slogan for the longest, but it really is to live in the moment. You know what I mean? There's been so many moments in my career so far, especially in TNA, where everything moves so quick, it'd be super easy to just do this and then move on to the next thing, then move on to the next thing. And something that's been super important for me that I've really tried to zone in on since I've been teaming with Matt and Jeff. And it was really like the first 6 man tag that we had that kind of started it off.
Yeah.
I'm really just trying to be in the moment and take it all in, you know what I mean? Because you never know when you're gonna get a cool shot like that again. You know what I mean? Like I could walk outside and get hit by a bus for all I know, you know. So you have to enjoy every moment while you can. And it was that first 6 man tag where I did my entrance. I came out on the ramp. The Hardy Boys music hit, and I'm like, oh my god, Jeff's on my right, Matt's on my left. I'm looking, and I'm like, oh my day, like I was living the dream, man. I was living the dream,
Yeah.
and there's been multiple moments since then where I almost have to pinch myself, and I go like, wow, I am living the dream right now. You know what I mean? So the biggest thing they've taught me for sure is to live for the moment.
It's funny you say the being hit by a bus because when I interviewed Matt and Jeff a couple weeks ago, Jeff said, I don't really think about the future. Our plane might go down tonight when we're heading back to Charlotte. So
Yeah,
very similar
it's so true.
mentality. Yeah, and it's cool. I mean, it shows them with that mentality, like what they're able to do. Was that the same match that you guys pulled off the triple twist of fate, or was that later on?
So that was a little bit later on. I feel like the first time we did the triple twist of fate was against all odds, which was in June.
Okay.
Um, but the first time we tagged was actually in January. Yeah, it was earlier this year. So we had a couple months to, plot some cool stuff up, and get working as a real trio, you know.
I can't imagine the creativity between you and Matt and Jeff. Like those sessions before the match must be crazy. You know, you're also on an elite list that was able to be part of Jeff's face paint process, which was awesome to see when the three of you came out with that. What was that like, having Jeff kind of come up with the design for you and having him actually like apply it?
It was incredible, man, because like obviously I've been a huge Jeff fan my entire life. So to get to not only have insight to his process and seeing him apply the paint to himself, but for him to do it to me, it was incredible. And I've kind of played around with my own body paints and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Never so much the face paint, but like I actually got a lot of help from Jeff when he painted my face. Like he showed me the pens he uses, the technique he uses. Like because before I was just using this super um like greasy. It was almost like Halloween paint, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
for my body paint and stuff like that. And then he showed me these pens that he uses, and ever since, like anytime you see me with the paint down my neck, on my arms, on my hands, and stuff like that, that's the same stuff that Jeff uses. So yeah, even stuff like that, they've helped me evolve.
No, definitely those little creative aspects. Did you always want the Swanton 450 to be your finisher?
So I won't say I always wanted it, just because I didn't know it was possible until I tried it and I did it.
Yeah.
But as soon as I did it, so this is the funny thing, right? Like I've always obviously been a huge Hardy Boys fan, and ever since I was 9, I loved the 450, you know what I mean? On training shows when I was 11, 12, my whole indie career, the 450 has always been my finish. It hasn't always been the Swanton 450, but obviously when I started to grow into my body a little bit more, got a little bit more athletic, got a little bit more weight and athleticism behind me, I started experimenting, and that's when my kind of the career that I'd had so far and the training that I'd had so far and my fandom of the Hardys kind of mashed together. And that's when I started playing around with the Swanton 450. And as soon as I nailed it a couple times, and I had a couple of my friends film it and a couple of my friends take it, I knew that was the one, because nobody else has done it. Again, going back to that thing I was
Nobody.
saying earlier about like me being unique. There's nobody in the world that does a Swanton 450. There's been no one in the world that has ever done a Swanton 450 as a finisher. You know what I mean? So for me, it was a very crucial part of my act to get down for sure.
And it wasn't enough for you to just do the Swanton 450 off the top. We see you do it off the Ultimate X structure, which is still mind-blowing to see. What is going through your head as I mean, how many feet up is that, first of all?
So there's been a lot of conversation about this, and I think it was 18 to 19 feet. Like I don't think it was quite 20, but I think it was
Okay.
definitely over 15. So somewhere in that 15 to 20 foot range for sure. And as far as like what was going through my head, I remember being in the match and kind of watching it from the outside as I was down from whatever I'd taken before, and I was counting down the minutes until I knew I had to start climbing. So I was like, something had happened in the ring, one bump had happened. I go, okay, probably about 2 minutes. Another thing had happened, another thing had happened, another bump. Okay, right, probably about 30 seconds now.
Yeah.
And then it got time to climb. And I remember drying my hands off on the mats, drying my boots off on the mats and stuff, making sure I was all good to go. And if you see me, like, I actually misstep when I first climbed. Like, I meant to go left foot first and I went right foot. So I had to switch my feet. So that kind of threw me off. And I started panicking a little bit. And then I felt myself panicking. I went, bro, you have to relax or you're not going to do it. You know what I mean? So from that point, honestly, like, nothing was going through my head. I wasn't thinking about the landing. I wasn't thinking about the flip.
Mhm.
I went completely blank. I'd zoned completely out. I climbed. And again, if you see me, usually when I do the 450, I like to build the anticipation a little bit, you know what I mean? Stand on the
Yeah.
top rope for a little second, soak it all in, and then go. But with the Ultimate X one, man, as soon as my feet were stable, I went and I jumped, you know what I mean? And I honestly think, like, if anything was going through my head as I was climbing, I think I probably would have climbed back down because I would have realized how stupid it was, you know? So it was probably to my benefit that nothing was going through my head. And then yeah, what happened, and it's gonna live on forever, I hope.
100% will live on forever. Would you say that that was the moment that you felt kind of put you on the map even more than you already were?
For sure, yes, yeah. On a wider scale, like I'd blown up a couple of times before, and on a smaller scale, like I said, like on indies and stuff like that for the Swanton 450 when I first started doing it. Um, Obviously there was like select matches and moments that got a little bit of buzz. I remember when I kind of first got to TNA, my first couple of months, I had a great match against Speedball Mike Bailey that got some good buzz and got my name out there. The 6-man tag with the Hardys was a huge boost for me. but the Ultimate X stunt, man, like that took over the wrestling world for a couple of days. You know what I mean? That was everywhere. I remember like my phone didn't stop buzzing for like 48 hours, bro. It was wild. So yeah, I think on a wider scale, that definitely put the Leon Slater name in a lot of people's minds.
No, 100%. I mean, and if that didn't, then what we saw with AJ Styles 100% did. Him,
Yeah, exactly. That's another big one.
yeah, I mean, you looked genuinely shocked. Like it was infectious to see your reaction to him coming out.
Man, I was a kid in a candy shop, man. Like I had literally no clue that he was coming out. Like as soon as Let's Get Ready to Fly hit, I lost my mind, bro. I mean, you can see it. I was jumping up, I was jumping knees to chest, I was sprinting around the ring. And that was like after a 20-minute match, you know what I mean? Like all that exhaustion and all the pain I was in, it disappeared and the adrenaline kicked in as soon as AJ's music hit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's funny because I remember his music hit and I was getting ready to sing along to the chorus. But the crowd was so loud that I couldn't even hear the chorus. So I was like, you are, and it was the completely wrong part of the song, you know, because the crowd was so loud for him. But yeah, that was another incredible moment for me.
I was definitely at least trying to be one of those people in the crowd being loud singing that song. But
Yeah.
it was so cool to hear the old theme and everything. And see, did you really not know he was going to come out?
I promise you, I had zero clue. I had absolutely zero clue. I've been saying to people, like, if I knew, I would have tried to play it so much cooler. Like when his music hit, I would have stood there with the belt, like mean mugging and stuff.
Yeah.
But man, I'm very glad that it happened the way it did.
Well, I got one more question for you here. I know you grew up as a TNA kid, so I've got some fun blind ranking of TNA OMG moments. And who knows, you might
Wow.
be on the list yourself here. But these are
Here
some
we go. Here we go.
yeah, these are some of the ones that I thought were definitely worthy. So we've got and there are five to let you know. So there number one, Elix Skipper's cage walk.
Man, that is pretty up there. I'm gonna go number two because that's pretty up there, man. There's only no. I'm gonna go number three because in my head I can only maybe think of two more things that are crazier than that. I'll go number three for Elix Skipper.
Totally fair. Yeah, that wild moment. Jeff Hardy's sketchiest swanton to Abyss.
Over the stage.
Over the stage, yeah.
This is one of the ones that I was thinking about. That's number that might be number one. That's probably number one because even Jeff himself said that was the scariest thing he ever did.
Yeah, no, I definitely okay. So that's so we got one and three. Leon Slater, 450 swanton off the Ultimate X.
I could be humble or I could be honest. You know what I'm saying? I'll put it number two. I feel like that's pretty up there. I don't know if it's above the Elix Skipper cage walk though. I'll go number two. I'll go number two just because of how crazy it was and the buzz that it created. I'll put myself as number two.
Okay, so we got one, two, and three. Kazarian Ultimate X leg drop.
Oh, man, these are difficult. This is difficult. That's probably number four. That's probably number four.
Yeah,
because number four.
Number four, and then the final one would be five. It's AJ Styles, the drop kick he takes while he's dangling from the cable, and it turns.
That is wild. That is wild, but I don't think it's crazier than Kaz's leg drop. So that's a good number five. That is a good. The only thing I could possibly change about that list is flipping me and Elix Skipper. I could definitely see an argument for that. But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty happy with it.
It could go either way between those two, I feel, because both of them like bend the mind as a fan, I could tell you. Like seeing them, I was like, what?
Yeah.
No, and there are so many honorable mentions too from that list. Those are just, I thought those were the top five. Well, Leon, thank you so much just for this little bit of time. I'm so excited for Bound for Glory. It's October 12th this Sunday, Lowell, Massachusetts. Any final words for Javon Evans as you head into the big event?
Man, this is about to be a classic. I'm ready to get bouncy, bro. Let's do this.
Rewind, recap, relive. Whoa! That's what the world is watching.